Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machad from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week, we are joined by Jordan Bell of the Firing Pen to discuss shooting guns with cameras and the Shootist Holiday. So, as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. And please check out the Patriot Patch Company for their awesome patches and other high quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. And every time you get a Patch of the Month Club patch in, you get a sticker with it and these cool artist proof renditions showing how they designed the patch and like the initial sketch drawings and everything. So be sure to check that out, patriotpatch.co. Shop Amazon using our affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And please help support Handgun Radio. Head over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HGR. There are a bunch of different pledge levels, and we really appreciate it. So, Jordan, good to have you back on the show.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. This is what, number 4?
3 or 4, yeah. Well, you got to count the ones we did down at NRAM last year, or 2016, too.
Yeah.
So, what'd you do this week?
Well, right now my parents are in London, which is pretty cool. I get the run of the place, being that we moved into the house after my wife got her cancer and whatnot. So it's really quiet. I'm getting a lot of stuff done. I got a one of the new Walter CCP M2s recently, so I installed a set of True Glow Tritium Pro sights onto that, which are really nice. So I can't wait to get these out to the range and get them hitting where I want and all that. Also got a new really nice Peak Designs camera bag and a Manfrotto tripod for my camera setup, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. Other than that, it's just been kind of easy rolling. We're changing the seasons. We were 90 degrees at the start of the week, and it's 53 outside right now. So
42 last night when I was driving home from my gig.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm pretty sure I need to be closing up my pool.
Yeah, we here in Indiana, we're not that high up from, we're not like, we don't consider ourselves northerly, we're not like Wisconsin or you guys, but it tends here lately to go from summer to practically winter. So
Do you guys get any of that lake effect stuff from the
we do. We get a lot of that come down from Lake Michigan, and some of this stuff comes in from Canada. You guys get the nor'easters, we get the southwesters.
Well, yeah, but you're down in the middle of Indiana. You're not up like on South Bend or Gary or anything.
No, we just get the very bottom edge of that stuff, though.
Yeah, we get the stuff coming in from Canada and everything else that comes up the coast.
Yep.
So, then also, so this week I didn't really do too much. It's been a busy week, but did have some looks at the Cz Scorpion Bullpup that Manticore Arms has put out, or the chassis rather. And let me tell you, I am interested in getting my hands on that because I have quite a bit of experience with the Cz Scorpion itself, but this is something else. I'm looking at. It's not. I mean, there's stuff from We Like Shooting about it.
Yeah, I saw something online the other day. I'm not sure which one of the, it was on Facebook, so follow everybody in the world on Facebook. It's hard to remember who posted what, but yeah, I saw that. I was like, wow, that's pretty rad.
I would love to. It looks very like video game-esque.
Yeah, I think that's why they like putting bullpups in games, because it's just neat, different.
It does look very nice. When I get more information on it, have more time to research it a bit. It debuted at the Bullpup shoot last weekend, so when I get more information on it, I'll talk about it on the show. Maybe next week with Weird. I could talk with somebody during the week about it, but I'd love to know exactly how it connects and everything else, and how everything goes together. Really, really interesting concept. So,
yeah. Plus, it's a bullpup, so that's about as close to a handgun as you're going to get a rifle. So it technically fits.
well, and from what I understand, it's just like a chassis. So if you have the Cz Scorpion, you can take and put this on your existing gun.
Oh, cool.
I don't believe it's a standalone firearm.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure it's not.
And Manticore is always doing fantastic stuff. I mean, Sven over there comes up with some really unique ideas that he always seems to get just right.
Are they the ones that do the what's that thing that you can shove your SIG up into and basically turn it into a little PD?
No, that's the Roni kit or something like that. Manticore does. They've been a long time sponsor of We Like Shooting, and they do stuff like the transformer rail. So you can put the transformer rail. You get the rail, and then you can basically make it you can configure it any way you want, wherever you want, like with all the rails and stuff, where everything goes. They also make stuff for the AK. They make stuff for guns that other companies don't make. Like they do stuff for the Bren 805.
Oh, okay.
They've done stuff for the Steyr AUG, AUG, whatever it is, Grant. The Tavor, and now the Scorpion Evo. So like right here, for instance, the Scorpion Evo, they do a few different compensators. They make a safety that doesn't bang your knuckle every time you fire it. Short fore end. The telescoping slider stock is something that I really, really liked. If you have like an SBR Scorpion.
Nice.
Let's see, they make an MP5 style telescoping stock.
Right.
And that's pretty nifty, I think.
Something I'll hit on a little bit later. We've got a 9mm. What originally over in Europe was a submachine gun, but of course it's been civilianized here. They sell it as a pistol, but thankfully we've got that nice little pistol brace workaround. So now we've got a this little, I want to say it's a Strebog. It's imported by Grand Power.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. So that's in my queue for things to take pictures of. I've got that due in October, along with a really, really, really nice Texas Rangers Cimarron single action army replica.
That Grand Power subgun, that thing looks really cool. I've seen that for a number of years, but I guess they've just now started importing them.
Yeah, yeah, it is nice. It doesn't feel like that typical, you know, uh, ex-Soviet bloc country, just kind of cheapness. It feels really legit. You know, it's got a threaded barrel. It's got reversible charging handle. It takes out of the box. You get a couple 20-round stick magazines that are like the smoke clear polymer. Like I said, ours comes pistol format, but you can pop off the back plate and slap on a pistol brace or, whatever. And then it's got built-in little flip-up sights, but otherwise, the top of it's all, a big rail.
Well, and Grand Power has always been a pretty decent company. We had a Grand Power came on the show one time and did they talked about the pistols there. I had a Alex, friend of the show, Alex, came on and talked about the pistols and everything.
Yeah, we actually got a twofer on them. We got that little sub gun, and then we got their I can't remember the model of it, but it's basically their version of a Beretta PX4 Storm. It's got the rotating locking lock up instead of tilt breech. Feels a lot like one of the PX4 Berettas.
Yeah, they're really slick little pistols.
Yeah, it's not bad. I hadn't really paid much attention to them before, but it shot pretty well.
Excellent. So we'll be sure to look out for that. If people need to follow your pages, what is it? The Firing Pen, and do you have anything else other than that?
Well,
for people to follow to keep an eye out for this.
So, as people that are familiar with me coming on the show before, we write for gun magazines typically, but we have our own blog, The Firing Pin. It's actually a Facebook page. We had a .com, but it's just a little too much to juggle at once. We've got, the Facebook, we've got the Instagram, and having our own .com was just a little much at this point. So we're just sticking to Facebook and Instagram at the time being.
All right, we'll put links to the show notes in for that. So with that, we'll head into the main topic, shooting guns, but in a different way.
All right.
So Jordan, yeah, you're the guy. You messaged me about this, and you've been saying how you've been doing a lot more of this since the last time we talked. And so you do the photography work for your dad's articles in the magazines and everything, or most you have been doing all of it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So for I'd say the good last year, um, the majority, I'd say 90% of his magazine articles have been my pictures. And here lately, within the last 5 months, they went ahead and made it official, and I'm actually getting paid now. So whenever he gets an article that he's ready to you know do for the magazine, they cut him a work order, and then they cut me a simultaneous work order. He gets the editorial bit, and then I get the picture bit, and we send them in together, and we both get a paycheck. So that's pretty cool. I did that long enough and was providing them with quality enough pictures that a couple of months ago, I approached him and said, "Hey, I can type words too, guys. I went to college for that sort of thing, so they actually kind of went out on a limb and offered me my very first full and complete byline magazine article with pictures of my own, which should be out right now. My work order said it was for the September October issue of Combat Handguns. Um, a lot of the grocery stores and stuff have been banning gun magazines, so I haven't seen it anywhere. But I should probably go try to find it since it's my inaugural full article. But I did a piece on easy running guns and gear. I did that specifically for my wife. I mentioned earlier that she got cancer, so she lost a lot of weight. She lost a lot of arm strength, and the 9 millimeter Smith and Wesson shield that she had bought for herself, she just couldn't work anymore. And when that Shield Easy 380 debuted, I thought, oh my God, that is perfect for her. So I hit up the reps at Smith and Wesson and said, hey, can you get me one of these things? And then I hit up the editors at Athlon, where we publish, and said, hey, look, I've got an idea for doing, guns and gear for, people with considerations. And I said, I know you guys have already done the debut of this new easy gun, so you don't want just a standard article, but what if I grab, another gun that has similar feature set and do, a specific article specifically about, you know, people with handicaps, basically. And so that was my very first article. It was a two gunner. It had the Shield Easy 380 and the Walther CCP M2, which was brand new. I actually scooped this gun. If that article's out now, it's one of the first print articles covering this gun. And after I got done with it, that particular article, I hit the editors up again and I said, "Hey, look, I've got this Walther a full month before the NDA expires. I'll go ahead and do just a single gun expose on it for the debut." And they approved that. So that's my very second full on article. And that should be coming out in the January, February combat handguns.
So how did you? I haven't really talked to too many people who have had much experience with the Shield Easy. How did you like it?
I love it. We bought it. It did not go back. Well, I know you like the pocket hammerless 1908 or 1903 Colt. It's like it feels like a modernization of that. Specifically, what the '08, because that was the 380. But it's got a grip safety, uh, 8-round magazine. The handle's big enough that you can get your whole hand on it. The gun's light. You can work the slide with your pinky and your forefinger. It goes back so simple. But it honestly, it feels like a scaled down full size M&P. It doesn't feel squatty and stubby like a Shield or like a M&P compact. It feels like the full gun, but shrunken, kind of like those Browning 1911 380s, if you're familiar.
Have you ever handled the M&P 22?
It's yes.
It's based on that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Frame size wise.
frame size wise. So yeah, it's going to feel a lot like that. So if you don't have an easy 380 on hand, pick up the M&P 22. It's going to feel similar, but that doesn't have the grip safety or anything. And now I know a lot of people really like to knock on grip safeties and whatnot. But the way this one is designed is it pivots from the bottom and not the top. It's not like a 1911 or an XD grip safety. It pivots from the bottom. It takes virtually no effort. It doesn't snag. It doesn't pinch. It engages the immediately as you grab the gun, it engages. Um, Now the gun also has, well, the one that we got, I think you can get it without it, but it's also got a toggle safety for your thumb. My wife, she's really big on having safeties, so I went ahead and got the one with the toggle safety for her. But yeah, I mean, it's a great little gun. The trigger feels great. The sights are great. They're steel. It's not junky plastic stuff. Just the gun overall is really nice. It takes down super easy. The magazines load super easy. They actually have a little nub you can pull down on to kind of pre-drop the follower and just load everything in on top, a lot like a 1020, or not 1022, like a Ruger Mark IV magazine, uh, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really great gun. I recommend it for just about anybody that's new to shooting or just wants something small that's easy to handle, easy to run. And my only real complaint is it's a 380. I'd like to have seen it in 9mm.
Well, then again, I mean, the you probably, well, I don't know that you would get the same because it's a straight blowback, correct? Or is it tilting barrel?
It's tilting barrel.
It is, okay.
Yeah. Now the Walter is different. It uses um, the
The gas
bull
system.
gas piston and all that stuff, a lot like the HKP7. And it's 9mm, and it also cocks real easy and everything. And it comparable. It's not as easy as the Smith and Wesson, but literally that gun was built from the ground up for ease, whereas the Walter is just you know trying to do something different and still have a very viable uh, everyday carry gun, which I kept it too because I liked them both.
So you like to see you kept both of them.
Mhm. Yep, I gave my wife the Smith and Wesson, and I kept the Walter.
Now, did you have any experience with the original CCP?
I did. When it first came out, it was, well, that NRAM that we were at together, when they debuted it, and when I was at the Walter booth, I was messing with it, and I just wasn't that impressed. Yeah, it was cool. The slide went back easy, but I was looking at it versus their PPS, and I was like, I don't understand, like why. And one of the things that really threw me off was just the complexity of how to take it apart. And you had to have a tool and all this other nonsense. And the M2 version just completely changes that. This thing comes apart just as easy as any other gun. It's different. You don't have a lever on the side that you flip down. You actually kind of push in on the back, and there's a sideways lever that you just push over to the right a little bit, and then the whole back end lifts off. Everything comes apart, and it's pretty easy. It's toolless. It does take a few tries to get the hang of putting the slide back on because you have to feed the piston into the chamber under the barrel, and it does have a fixed mounted in place straight barrel.
Right. Now, what I've not handled one of the new ones, so what is there to prevent you? I mean, is there any way for you to put that back end on where you think it's in place, but it's not actually in place and it could pop off or anything like that?
No.
No.
Nope. If you don't get it on there just right, it literally doesn't go on there.
Okay. That was my only concern because I was like, okay, so what if you think it's on right, but
Right.
it's not on right, and it
Well, one of the
does.
interesting facets is it has no slide rails, so it literally just reciprocates back and forth over that fixed barrel. So
Wow.
it has to get over the locking block in the back uh, and lock down. Otherwise, it just sits on there at like a 15-degree angle, and you shake it, it'll fall off.
So then your photography, I remember back almost 2 years ago now, we were talking about light boxes, and now look how far you've come.
Yeah, it's been a journey. So, and I've had my inspirations. There's actually a friend of mine that lives here in town in Indianapolis, and she writes for Shooting Illustrated.
Some of you may have heard of her.
Yeah, some of you may have heard of her. Her name is Tam Keel. She has a very long-running blog, A View from the Porch, books, bikes, and boomsticks, and she is big time into photography. And so we chat back and forth all the time about gear and stuff like that. And I've picked up a lot of interesting stuff following her, and gear recommendations, and just stuff like that. I actually had a huge fanboy moment a couple weeks ago. She had, like I said, she writes for Shooting Illustrated, which, as you know, got picked up by the NRA last year as one of their stable magazines. And it's always been one that I've respected. And she name dropped me in the middle of an article. She's like, yeah, fellow gun writer Jordan Bell, said this about this gun or whatever. And I'm just sitting there cheesing like crazy. I'm like, it says gun writer, it says my name, and it's in Shooting Illustrated. Oh my gosh.
I did the same thing. Weird introduced me to her at which NRA show? Oh, well, yeah, the one that we went to, 2016. And I couldn't say anything because I was like, I've been reading your stuff forever. And hi, nice to meet you. And that's basically all I got out.
Yeah, she's a really good gal. I have not met her in person yet, which just blows my mind because we live about 25 minutes away from each other. We've threatened to a few times, but schedules and whatnot. She keeps it uh, pretty busy up in her end of town.
So what did you like? Did you have much photography experience before you started? And like, what goes into taking pictures for a gun magazine?
I have actually had quite a bit of photography experience specifically for gun magazines. I'm one of those people that you could call me a photographer, but other people that run around with like photographer on their t-shirt and stuff would probably mock me or something, because I'm very specialized. I take pictures of guns and cats, and that's about it. Um, I'm trying to expand on that, which I'll hit on a little later if we have time. But I started taking pictures for my dad when I was about, I don't know, 12 or 13. I'm 37 now. But you got to understand, back then, it was dad kneeling down in front of a fence, holding up a gun in front of a target and saying, "Here, boy, don't mess this up. Take a picture of me. Press this button, crank that dial, and hold still." But those were with old Pentax K100 or K1000 35mm film cameras. And I learned how to focus and meter and do all that stuff way back then doing that, and it just kind of progressed over the years. I took a big reprieve from doing any of that when I was in college. I thought I wanted to do something completely different, and I didn't really do anything with them. But when the firing pin thing started up in 2014, I got back into it with him, and I had basically inherited his. Well, the magazines he worked for at the time said, "All right, look, no more 35mm. We don't want rolls of film coming to us anymore. You need to go digital." And so they had Dad go buy this fancy Canon digital camera, and he basically, well, I love Dad, but he's freaked out by the TV remote. So giving him a, Canon digital DSLR and saying, "Hey, use this now," kind of was uh, a bit of a learning curve. So I said, "Hey, I can use that," and it just sort of exploded from there. And like I said, for the longest time, I was taking pictures and I was making magazine spreads and stuff. But I was lucky if I even got a mention somewhere in the magazine, much less paid. But all that turned around here in the last 6 months, and now I'm buying better gear and learning newer techniques, and now I'm doing my own stuff. So we'll see where it goes from there. Hopefully, bigger and better things.
So specifically, like, because you look at these spreads in the guns of the old west and combat handguns, nice big full, sometimes 2-page photos with not only the gun but some of the gear and stuff, and vintage items around it. So what considerations do you have to keep track of when you're starting to do something for an article?
Well, the first thing I like to think of is, well, I'm an art student. I went to college for art, design, journalism, kind of this jack of all trades, new media degree. And so, I look at things like color theory, I look at composition, placement, stuff like that. It's also very thematic, like you said, for Guns of the Old West. We happen to have a whole ton of cowboy stuff laying around from when Dad did Single Action Shooting Society and National Congress of Old West Shooters, live action cowboy shooting stuff. So we've got boots and belts and saddles and all the accoutrements, and so I try to use that stuff, as props to kind of liven up the pictures for magazines like Guns of the Old West. Specifically, you had mentioned, a 2-page spread. I just had a full 2-page spread on the new North American Arms Ranger 2 mini revolver, and I literally put that on a green handkerchief with a deck of playing cards down in the corner in front of my upstairs window with natural light, and I used a 50 millimeter macro lens just to get real close and real sharp on the details. And one of my pictures they liked enough that it became a full 2-page spread. The only way it could get better is if it flipped out like a centerfold.
That is, yeah, I saw that one. How'd you like that Ranger, by the way?
It is fun. There'd been some complaints about people accidentally popping it open when quick thumbing the hammer, but we didn't have that happen a single time. I don't know, maybe we're not stupid and understand that we don't have to start at the middle of the top of the strap to pull the hammer back. But I mean, I guess in a super, super stressful situation, there is a chance it could happen, but I don't know. They have a pretty pronounced hammer spur that's pretty easy to grab. So we grabbed it, we pulled it, we never had a problem. It ran like any other NAA. It just, it was a top break.
Did you guys do anything with the swing out cylinder one?
Oh yeah, that's my baby.
So that's what you prefer then?
Well, it's we kept the Ranger 2, and we've got the Sidewinder swing out, and we've got the Swinger swing out, which is the longer 4-inch barrel version. And I keep the Sidewinder as just a an NPE deep concealment pistol, and I actually have got the little laser light. It's got the little periscope laser thing that pops up on the side. I actually think, didn't we send you one of those that we had at some point?
Yeah, it wasn't working.
Oh,
and I never ended up getting it working.
Oh man, I'm sorry, but yeah, I slapped that on my Sidewinder and stippled the grips, and yeah, I love it. It opens nicely, but it's not as handy as the top break Ranger. It's more handy than obviously pulling the whole cylinder like a typical NAA, but the Ranger is the easiest, the Sidewinder is the second easiest. That's how I would rank it.
So what's the biggest challenge you have when you're taking pictures for the magazines? Like sending it to them, picking which ones to send? Do you send, a crap ton of them, or do you just pick a few of the best ones?
So that's a two-part question. The biggest challenge is roll marks and stuff on the guns. So I can get a really, really, really nice, the props are perfect, the lighting's perfect. I've got it all, set up exactly how I want it. And I hit my shutter release and I preview it on the back of my camera. And I think I've got it all great. And I take down everything and I go sit at my Mac and get ready to run everything through Lightroom. And then I realized that you can't read the roll stamping on the side of the gun. You have to be laser precise on your focusing so that you get that readability, because the magazine people will send it right back to you with a nope, nope, nope if they can't read, Taylor's and Company, 38 caliber or whatever down the side of the lever action. They don't want that. They want to be able to see that in, very crisp detail along with everything else about the gun. So I've found a lot of times it's a lot easier just to uh, not so much try to go for any kind of depth of field and to just get everything in the frame as focused as I can get it, just so that I get every detail. So it's a learning experience. That's part one of your question. Part two of your question, as far as amount of pictures, when I go to take gun pictures, I'll take probably about 75 to 150. And then I'll spend a few hours culling out, the junk, down to about maybe 30 pictures. Then I'll run those through Lightroom and Photoshop and get them looking really sexy. And then they'll go to Dad, and sometimes Dad will weed out a few more because the reason they have to go to him first is he has to do photo captions, and it helps him to see exactly what the picture is for him to formulate the photo caption. And then what's left will go to the editors. And then from there, they'll probably weed it down to another maybe 4 or 5 that actually get published. So yeah,
I didn't expect you to say you took 75 to 100.
Yeah, it's well, back in the old days when you're using film, that probably would have been frowned upon. But when you've got a digital camera that'll hold 999 pictures, you may as well, right? And you never know when you're going to get the shot. So just take as many as you can, and that's what you do in post. Is you go back and you see what's good, what sucks. Maybe this picture was really, really good, but and this actually happens a lot with Dad. Is I'll get a really good picture at him shooting from the bench, and then in post I'll realize that he's got this look on his face like he's dropping a log, and I'm like, no, Dad, I can't run this picture. You're constipated. So it helps that I probably took another 5 pictures in that same setup, because maybe one of them he's not making grunt face or something.
So the next 2 guns on your plate, you talked about that Strybog 9 subgun, and then the that Cimarron single action army. What's up with that one?
It is a dedicated Texas Rangers commemorative, so it's got full laser engraving all over it. It's really, really it's a beautiful gun. It's got the Texas Rangers, I want to say, shield on the grips. They're faux ivory, I believe. It's super slick. I mean, running the thing it feels like a customized SAS gun. It's super slick. It's very short action. I have a feeling it's not going back either, if I know Dad. But if you actually go to our Instagram or our firing pin, I put up about 3 teaser pictures of it so far, and it's been one of my favorite things to take a picture of, just because it's that bright, shiny nickel with the engraving. So there's a lot of light play and stuff like that I can mess with on a creativity side with my photography. And it was a fun one to mess with. I actually have about half the pictures of it done. I've got all the indoor beauty shots and stuff like that I do in my little home studio knocked out. It'll be the actual going out to the range and getting the live action, uh, shooting from the bench. And Dad always likes to put on his cowboy gear and stuff for some of the author with gun pictures that they like to run sometimes. So that's about the only stuff I've got left to do on it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that because you guys not only do combat handguns, but you also do guns of the Old West, and some people may not know about that part of it because that's where I first heard about your dad was guns of the Old West way back in the day.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. Like I said, we run for Athlon, which Athlon bought out all the old Harris Publications stuff. So we can be found in everything from Survivalist magazine to American Frontiersman to Guns of the Old West to combat handguns to guns and weapons for law enforcement to, well, Dad's written for the Glock Annual. Uh, uh, we've had stuff run in Police magazine. We've had stuff run in, well, way back in the day, Dad used to do stuff for one of the old NRA magazines that ran alongside the Rifleman. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, we're fairly prolific on the print side, but on the web side, it's just the firing pin, and that's our duo project. My biggest struggle with that is getting everybody to realize there is two of us. So many times I'll put a post up on there, and everybody will go, "Oh, that's cool, Bill," and Jordan.
You do -J at the end of your posts.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
So, where are you going from here before we wrap up the photography stuff? Where do you want to go? What non-gun stuff do you want to take pictures of?
So there's another friend of mine that I've met through various shooting people. Her name's Sarah Cade. She does Cade imaging up in Minnesota, Wisconsin, something like that. And she's big into drones. So I think drone photography would be something I'd like to mess with. Something else I'd like to mess with is astro photography. So, like, if you see the pictures of star trails or the Milky Way or something like that, that's just on the artistic, creative side stuff that I would like to get into, so that when I'm talking to more photography people, so to speak, as opposed to just gun people, there's not always a lot of carryover there. There's a lot more liberal, photography people than there are, uh, you know, big into guns and the Second Amendment kind of photography people. So it's nice to have something that I can show that's not, hey, look at this gun. But
Okay.
yeah, that's where I'd like to go from there. Is obviously keep doing the gun stuff for the fun of it and making the money, but maybe break into drones or taking pictures of space, whatever.
Nice. Yeah, and the drone stuff has really taken off with firearms as well. I mean, I've seen people, doing training stuff out at the range, following. They have. Isn't there a drone now that you have an app in your pocket on your phone and it'll follow you or track
Oh,
you or something?
oh yeah, you can pop out your tablet and actually set waypoints and stuff, and you're pretty much hands off on the drone. It just follows the waypoints over a Google Earth topo map, and they've got 4K cameras on them now, and they'll fly for up to like 30 minutes at a time. And yeah, I mean, sky's the limit when you want to put money into it. You can. Uh, I'll have to start with something cheap, but like Sarah, she uses, I think, a Phantom 4 DJI, and that's like an $1,800 drone after you add in various accessories and stuff.
So the other thing we wanted to talk about before we wrapped up today was the Shootist Holiday. Now, this I've heard of this a few times. This might not be something a lot of people have heard of, but especially if you used to read the gun magazines, they would talk about it. Wasn't it something to do with the 44 special?
Well,
Sort of. That's part of it.
yeah, a lot of those guys that were like 44 associates, if you,
Yes, that's it. The 44 associates.
yeah, a lot of those guys, were kind of the the progenitors of it. The whole group was actually started by John Taffin. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yep.
And it all
Fireside
started.
Tales, right?
Yep. Yeah, you're a perfect packing pistol guy.
Yep.
He started it out with a few other, like-minded individuals, and it started small, and it's just a social club. It's not anything big, it's not like the Illuminati of gun writers or anything. It's just, it's a social club for like-minded fellas that get together and shoot and network and things like that. But it has grown quite a bit. They like to keep the numbers small, so it's not the reason why a whole lot of people haven't heard of it is it tends to be invite only. Specifically, I got invited this year through my dad. He's been in it since, I want to say, 98. But yeah, Jason Klossner, who's the VP of Lipsy's Guns that does all the specials for Ruger and everything else like that, he extended me the official invite to get down there this year. And what you have to do is you have to go 2 years in a row, and the board has to vote on you and approve your membership. And if you go 2 consecutive years and you get the nod from the board both years, then you become official and are invited to all their different. I think they do something else besides the holiday each year, but the holiday is the big thing. It's in June each year, and it's out at the NRA Whittington Center in Raton, New Mexico, which is just about the coolest place you can go to shoot. It's 37,000 acres. They literally own a mountain out there with this humongous ranch around it. They do guided hunts. They do everything out there. They've got lodging. They've got primitive camping. They've got, really nice log cabins you can stay in. And then they've got everything from Camp Perry style 1,000-yard 100-lane competition shooting ranges to, just a collection of dirt berms up in the hills to one of the things I had the most fun with was they had a range that you could use like ARs and that kind of thing on, where everything was dangling steel, and there was probably about, I don't know, 30 or 40 of them. And they started at about 15 yards and went all the way out to 650 yards. And in kind of a shooting gallery format, stuff was up in the hills, stuff was up on a mining road going up the side of the mountain. Some of the stuff was in front of you in multiple layers. It was just really cool. You could hit something at 350, you could come back and hit something at 15. It just really neat. But most of the time we spent was on this really, really, really wide range that just had like 1,000 of the little knockdown animals, like on Hickok's blog. And it was all for pistol and stuff like that. And so every morning we'd get out there, the whole group of us, like 90 or 100 some odd people, we'd have a morning kind of meeting thing. And then everybody would just sort of pal around, see what each other had, and go up and down the line. Hey, can I shoot that? Yeah, hey, look at this, Everybody's either some kind of competitive shooter or somehow tied into the industry, or, maybe they've just got, a lot of name recognition for one thing or another. A lot of big people like leather workers, gunsmiths, things of that nature. Just a shout out real quick to a buddy of mine, Bobby Tyler. He got invited for the first time this year too. He does Tyler Gunworks out of Texas, and he does some amazing color case hardening jobs. He's actually one of the only guys in the world that can do color case to stainless steel. So he has gotten huge. He's actually been doing a lot of stuff for Ruger and Lipsy's and things like that. But he's about my age, and he's just super down to earth. We had a lot of fun with him. He's just a great guy. But yeah, one last hit on the Shootist Holiday. I got to tell you, I had a lot of fun each night back at the at the lodging, we would do nightly yard parties, and there's nothing like sitting around having Boj Quinn play a song on his guitar and singing John Denver songs with your dad and smoking cigars with Matt Olivier and just all kinds of people, coming in from here and there, and everybody's just sort of dropping in and having a ball and networking, and then you wake up and go shoot some more and have at it for about a whole week. It's really cool. If you ever get a chance and know somebody and get invited, I highly recommend it.
What was one of the coolest guns you shot?
Ooh.
Putting you on the spot here.
Well, the trouble is I can't remember the name of it. It was like some kind of an old British, not like a Martini Henry, but something in that time frame. It was this big, huge, long, old British infantry rifle that this guy had made some hand loads for, and we were trying to hit this steel target up this mining road at 650 yards. And this thing was literally shooting like an artillery cannon. I mean, it had a parabolic arc that was just crazy. You know, the holdover on this target was like
5.57 Snyder.
Yeah.
Was that it? Snyder Enfield?
Because
that's kind of similar. It's not totally similar, but it looks like a. Did it have a big hammer on the side of it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's probably one of those a 5.77 Snyder.
Anyway, this thing was pretty badass. I didn't hit anything with it, but I only let the guy let me shoot it 2 or 3 times because each one of those hand loads was probably costing the guy about $4 a pop.
It was a conversion for the pattern 1853 Enfield muzzle loader. It was kind of like what they did with the trapdoor Springfield conversions.
Okay.
I think, if that's what it was.
Yeah, if that's what it was. I mean, it was really cool, though. There was some other neat stuff. Bobby Tyler had a full color case Desert Eagle. That was kind of neat. I'm not the biggest fan of Deagles, but it looked really nice with that 100% color case.
Was it better than the Tiger Stripe?
Yes. Yes. Oh, well, actually, honestly, it still kind of looked Tiger Stripe, just in that color case. You know, if you know what I'm talking about with the color case hardening, how it kind of gets those stripes in there. But yeah, it looked really badass. But yeah, no, there was just way too many guns. Well, this one guy had this display case that had 2 Skeeter Skelton guns in it that were very, very nice. I mean, he had certificates of authentication. He had handwritten letters from Skeeter's wife. He had all this stuff. It was probably a good 40 grand worth of stuff in this display box. He was,
oh wow,
oogle at.
So before we wrap up, the Firing Pen, people can find you on Instagram. Like you said, your webpage has been put on hiatus. Anything with videos or YouTube, anything like that?
So we tried to get into YouTube, and of course, everyone knows what happened there with YouTube getting unfirearm friendly. So there are just a couple random videos on there, but they're not worth really seeing. They were just kind of test stuff of mine. Eventually, we might get back into video, maybe on like Full 30 or something like that. But right now, that's kind of on hiatus as well. I do want to point out, thanks to Weird pointing it out back at NRAM, and now I'll never get it out of my head. For those of you that are just hearing this and not seeing any words, our blog is The Firing Pen, but it is a play on words. The last word is P-E-N. Our logo is actually a fountain pen on the top and a AR-15 firing pin on the bottom. It's where we come from. You say both words the same, so pen, whatever. Pen. Yeah, okay. It's the firing pin. Anyway, just on your Facebook search bar, type in The Firing P-E-N, and you will find us.
Yeah, and they're also the Facebook page is really great. They post a lot of the pictures that you would see in the magazine, some of the cast-offs that don't make it. So be sure to go check that out and like them on Facebook. And we'll have to get your dad on here again soon to discuss some other historical firearms that he has.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'd love to. And yeah, maybe we can get all you guys to come down for NRAM 2019. It's going to be in town.
I'm hoping so, but we'll see how it goes.
Right.
You know how that goes.
Yep.
All right, so with that, we'll head into the wrap-up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends, and leave us a review on iTunes. Listen to all the great shows on the Firearms Radio Network, and be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weird is in Chicago right now at the Gun Rights Policy Conference with Aaron and everybody else from the Assorted Calibers podcast, as well as Geeks, Gadgets, and Guns. So we'll be talking with him next week about his trip and a few other things. But check out Weird Beard and everybody else at the Assorted Calibers podcast and at weirdworld.com. And the links are in the show notes as well. So thank you, Jordan, for coming on.
Not a problem. Always good.
And until next week, have fun and safe shooting.